What made you decide to run for governor?
The Nevada economy, and I made the conscious decision that you know I could just stay at home and complain to the television about it, or I could take an active role in finding solutions.
You don't expect to win, right?
Um, I'm sort of indifferent to whether I win or not. Either way, I've got a strategy. This is a ripe moment for third-party candidates. Nationally, they're already polling in double-digit percentages for at a national level for the governor races. So I think because the economy is in such a bad condition, there's an opening for alternate voices right now.
What makes you think you can fix Nevada?
Well, I personally cannot fix Nevada, but Nevadans can. And they just need a little bit of leadership that is sincere and functioning. And Nevada's had kind of a cobbed-together relationship to governing. We've always had a very strong economic engine, a couple of engines. And one of those has faltered heavily. And because gaming and tourism rely on this constant stream of energy, people flying in, that energy is in sudden jeopardy, both because the global economy is hurting, but also if you've heard about the peak oil theory, at any point, if our access to oil is severed or begins to decrease, any sort of tourism-related island, which we are, is in a weak position. So the state needs to consider building a new economy, a fourth or fifth economy, a new engine, a new driver. And that driver needs to be independent of global air transport. It needs to be a driver that's locally based, a bottom-up structure where individuals, sole proprietors, small businesses, they do startup businesses that are servicing Nevada for Nevadans. And we're still going to have gaming, we're still going to have tourism. It's a little flat now, there's not really a growth. We're still going to have mining, and there are discussions now about renegotiating what the tax structure is to mining, because that remains a valid, healthy engine. We also have an extremely large federal presence. The majority of Nevada's land is federal land. It's BLM property. So basically, we have a very large guest in Nevada. So that relationship, goes back to the creation of Nevada as a state, and you can perceive that as another economic engine. So those three are here, but we need a fourth now that's really a local fourth engine. And ideally, if the banking system were healthy, banks would be making loans to small proprietors, new business startups. Banks would be doing that. Banks aren't doing that right now. You cannot get a loan. So you can have the best idea in the world. If you bring it to a bank right now, you're probably not going to get funded. So we have to figure out other ways of getting these ventures off the ground, local ventures. There are Asian communities where neighbors pool the resources and they each supply seed money, and sort of the best idea wins, and they decide to fund their neighbor with their neighbor's business plan. Models like that could work, but we've got to figure out how to, both at a top-down direction, remove any sort of artificial barrier to new businesses at the state statute level and the local code level. We need to remove any artificial barriers to small businesses, and then we have to figure out how we're going to fund them and allow the people that are brave enough and creative enough to start these new businesses, to get them going. We need to figure that out. If we don't, and if we continue to rely on tourism, Nevada is going to experience, certainly flat growth, and what many people are saying, we will experience a tremendous population loss.
What would you do first if you were elected governor?
Well, two things. Top down, we need to look at the Nevada revised statutes. There are some inherited language barriers in the statutes that tend to favor large interest groups, and understandably in some cases. What we need to do is look at the statutes and remove obvious impediments to small business startups. And it's more important at the local level to do that. We've already got a fairly attractive taxation structure for startup businesses, but we need to create an environment that makes entrepreneurs and small business people and sole proprietors want to come here versus going to Nebraska, want to come here versus going to San Francisco. They want to come here. We have to give them reasons to come here. That's job one. So from day one, I would sit down with the Nevada revised statutes, see what we can do at the top level, but it's more important at the local level. We've got to create this nurturing environment at the local level. For example, in Las Vegas, if we look at modifying some of the codes to allow for mixed use in the center of town, to allow for work-live, 3-mile radius from the center of town. Every existing building that's now 20% vacant, 30% vacant, if we say, hey, you can do work-live in those buildings with some slight modifications, you're green-lighted to go, here's a little bit of seed money, we're not going to tax you for the first 2 years. Once you're making a profit, then we're going to tax you. You'd have startups happening. And those startups aren't happening right now because there's not enough incentive for them to do so. There's no incentive for someone to locate here versus the Midwest. If I'm going to start up a business, a $50 million business, I don't know that I'm going to do it in Southern Nevada right now. And that needs to change. That condition needs to be fixed.
What are you going to do if you don't win?
Well, two things. I made this decision to actively participate in public discussion, public service. So if I don't win, I'm going to seek another office, or I'll just rejoin the private sector as a consultant in a design, planning structure. But it's probably not going to be traditional architecture because traditional architecture ceases to be valid if the predictions about peak oil are true. What will be valid is a tremendous restructuring of strategies for new businesses, and also what becomes valid is using your skill set that you may have acquired in one line of work and translating that into new lines of work that haven't even been invented yet. But a lot of our reality in the coming decade is going to be reacting to really bad situations that have been created by a tendency for people to just keep doing things the way they've always done them. I think our education system in Nevada shows that pretty clearly. And I think the hemorrhaging of the state budget and the local budgets, the deficits there, show that we've relied on a structure that isn't so valid anymore. We have to adjust a lot of the things we're doing quickly and prudently, and start making these new ways to go about pretty much everything economically in Nevada.
You're aligned against some major financial interests. What's your plan of attack?
Well, the good thing is I'm on their side too, because I grew up in Nevada. It's my home. I have my family here. I have small children. I want Nevada to continue as a valid place for my family personally for the next 20 years. if we don't make the corrections in the next 5 years to make Nevada a viable place again, there's no reason to stay here. And so if we don't make the appropriate changes now and in the next 5 years, I predict we're going to see a population loss, significant population loss. We've already seen a flattening, but it's hard to know how much of that is actual loss and how much of it is just people falling off the books with the home foreclosures, loss of jobs. We have sort of a hidden population now of people that are somewhat defeated and they want to come back.